This is Small Talk with 101 ESPN's Michelle Smallmon.
Hey, what's up? Welcome into episode 130 of Small Talk. Steve Ceruti and Michelle Smallmon, your hosts here with you. Hello to our podcast audience and hello to our YouTube audience. And Steve, we're taping this on a Wednesday during the day, which is a little rare for us. So tell me what's going on in your world. What's a Wednesday afternoon like for Ceruti?
We got some Champions League action a little bit later in the day, so I'm excited about that. Just, some work from home action. It's finally warming up a little bit here in the Northeast. We've had like a foot of snow for the last month, so starting to melt right now. So spring potentially coming, which is kind of cool, but I don't know, kind of just chilling, relaxing. What's up with you?
Same thing, getting ready to do a workout, probably, as you can
NBD.
tell. NBD, just getting it right, getting it tight for the summertime. Summer's coming, but it is warm here in St. Louis. We had last week this time, negative degrees. It was like -2, massive snowstorm. Today it's in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, is this part of like the climate change, global warming BS that everything kind of happens now where, one day it's, -10 and the next day it's 60 degrees outside and the snow all melts in a day. I don't know what to believe. Now we got snowstorms in Texas,
right?
Which was insane because there were like pipes. We were all joking in the Northeast because, up here, we're all used to the weather and our houses and the infrastructure is just built to withstand a ton of snow. And, Texas gets I think they got a couple of inches or whatever, but they're just so not prepared for that pipes start bursting. People were out without power for a week.
It's awful.
I was even wondering, because I was talking to a guy who lived in Austin and I was like, do you guys even have like winter jackets in Austin? He's like, yes, we have jackets in Austin. Like it's, it does get cold, just doesn't really snow. So it was kind of wild to see that all go down. So I hope everybody's all right there, but it seems like now it's like 60 degrees there now and all the snow is melting.
I know, it's crazy. Well, to your point, a couple years ago, we went to the Super Bowl in Dallas. And when we were there was like an unprecedented snowstorm that was there. And I remember at the time being so confused by them not being able to handle a snowstorm, because I kept thinking, well, you guys know that the snow is coming. How difficult is it to get salt or to get snow plows? Isn't that something that you would think the state just has on reserve just in case something like that happens? But I guess when it's so infrequent, it's not something that you generally prepare for. And obviously after everything happened in Texas and reading about it, you learned about the power grids and, certain things that are different in Texas than they are in the rest of America. But yeah, that was so horrific to read about so many people without power and essentially freezing in their homes.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, we used to get inches of snow up here and we would still in school wouldn't have snow days. The buses would be out on the streets and they'd be icing and then we would be fine. We'd be like, damn it, come on. Like we need, at least 6 inches of snow to get a snow day. Whereas I remember, was it last year, a couple years ago, didn't Georgia get like 1 inch and it was absolute chaos?
Yes.
Which, I mean, again, like I know it really was chaos. So it's not even something, we're necessarily joking about, but it's just wild how the two sort of places can handle them differently. And by the way, just to go back, when I say climate change and global warming BS, I don't mean that it is BS. I mean that it's obviously very unfortunate and we don't want that to happen. Right. I want people to be like, oh, he's a climate denier. No, that's not me. It's shitty. It's shitty, obviously, to have to deal with right now.
And we don't do politics on this podcast, but I have to throw one thing out there. How about Ted Cruz? How about Ted Cruz just like go to Mexico? And of all things, you leave Snowflake behind? I thought
incredibly rude.
You, Ceruti, you and Maddie, I mean, we don't even need to get into the political side of this, but to leave your dog behind in the freezing house and then see the pictures of Snowflake like in the door, being like, hey, it's cold in here. What is going on?
I honestly think Ted Cruz
for Snowflake.
This is again not political whatsoever, because there are certainly like Cuomo in New York is another guy I would throw into this group who is just completely delirious, and they're Democrat, Republican, doesn't really matter.
Right.
But I feel like Ted Cruz is one of the last people on earth I'd want to hang out with. Like he just seems like an absolute downer, bore, annoying dude to be around. And I'm sure, I mean, I'm not even saying he's obviously smart, he's successful, he's a senator, but I don't want to hang out with that guy. I'm sorry, ever. And if you leave your dog, you're a terrible person.
Yeah, if you leave Snowflake behind, you are big time.
Yeah, even if you had somebody watching her, it doesn't matter. Come on, like it's the snow apocalypse in Texas.
Come on,
be with your dog. Come on, emotional support.
Take Snowflake with, get
or exactly. She needs a Mexican vacation too. Come on, what are we doing?
Anyway, okay, so in addition to that, we got news yesterday, the sports world, and I guess the world in general, because he's a transcendent figure, he goes far beyond sports, was very much shaken up with the news of Tiger Woods being in a car accident. I know you and I were texting about it. We've talked about it a little bit, but it was a very scary thing yesterday to get the push notifications that Tiger had been in a really serious car accident. The first thing that I did, of course, was open it and see the photos of the car. And I'm just so glad that he's alive and that he was able to walk away with non-life-threatening injuries, because you see those pictures and you just think, oh my goodness, is this going to be something that is a tragedy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I don't love comparing the two, but I got the same vibes as we did about a year ago when the Kobe thing happened, right? Because that started to trickle in on Twitter, and you're seeing all these reports about the helicopter, and it just the way that it escalated. It was very reminiscent of how it started with Tiger yesterday. And, oh, he was in a car accident. Oh, here's a picture of the car. We don't really know. We know the jaws of life were used, which I didn't really even know what that was until doing research. I thought jaws of life was like, it meant he was like grabbed from the jaws of life, like a metaphor.
The car, right.
I didn't know it was like a physical, to rip him out of the car, which they didn't end up actually using, I guess. But it was just terrifying. And it was the middle of the day yesterday, and I couldn't stop thinking of it. It was hard for me to do work. I was just trying to get updates on my phone, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And, because Tiger, very much like Kobe, for me, was one of the most influential figures in my life growing up. I mean, I would say Tiger Tiger and Kobe were probably 1-2 for me. Cause I was born in 1988. So I remember the late Jordan years. I vividly remember the second 3 titles. I remember the Wizard years. I don't really remember any of the early stuff though. I certainly don't remember him in college. I wasn't born yet, but Tiger, he really hit out. He burst onto the scene in 1999. That was when I was 9, 10, 11, around that age. And he has been with me in my sports fandom for basically my entire upbringing, my entire life. And I was a big golf guy. I played in the golf team in high school. And a lot of that was because I loved Tiger Woods, right? And he was just like this really, really cool guy. And he opened up this sport that was kind of, it was not cool to play golf until Tiger Woods came on the scene, and then opened it up to much more people from different backgrounds, people that wouldn't ordinarily want to swing a golf club, or who were like macho football players or baseball players or basketball players. Like, I want to get into golf because Tiger's into golf and he's really cool.
Totally.
And there was something about watching him on Sundays when it was rolling. I mean, for that 10-year period, when it was basically Tiger of the field in every single major, and you would probably take Tiger because he was that freaking good. He was probably the most influential athlete in my entire life. So that whole thing yesterday was just really obviously terrifying, and it gave me flashbacks to the Kobe stuff. And it's so great to hear that he is going to be okay. Now he's got, I believe, several fractures in one of his legs. It was unclear on the full extent of his injuries, but it doesn't seem very good.
His ankle.
Yeah, like compounded, like it's sticking out of his leg, all that stuff. And you hate to say it, but at age 45, it just kind of seems like he already probably wasn't going to play in the Masters this year because he has a debilitating back situation, and he's got a lot of miles on him. He's been playing golf since he was 2, and the amount of torque that you put your body through in that is really tough. So I'm just happy that he's alive. It doesn't seem like it's probably likely that he's ever going to maybe play. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to speculate, but it doesn't seem very good at age 45. But again, just happy that he survived and he's okay, because it was terrifying reliving kind of the Kobe thing that happened last year. I don't know how it felt for you, Michelle.
Agreed. I kept refreshing and waiting to get information, because you're right. Tiger is an athlete that transcends golf. He changed the sport in a lot of ways. And when I look at 2021 and I think about what are some of the things that are pervasive in our world today now, right? Certainly one thing we talk about all the time is inclusivity. And Tiger Woods took a sport that was the most exclusive of exclusive. It was a gentleman's game. Women were not allowed. Minorities were not allowed. You had to look a certain way, have a certain bank account, all of these things that kept golf away from major parts of our society. Tiger Woods broke down those barriers. And you're right. He made golf cool. He made it very cool. I remember seeing guys starting to wear the TW hats and be like, oh, that is so fresh. That looks so cool. And it's like, yeah, it's Tiger. And he is appointment television. When Tiger's in the hunt on a Sunday and he's wearing the red and he's wearing the black, you stop what you're doing to watch him. You build your day around watching him. And, we talked to Bob Herrig on our show today talking about this. And I asked him, this is likely the end for Tiger as far as golf is concerned. And, I don't want to speculate either. But if anyone has the mental makeup to come back from something like this, it is Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to put anything past him. He's played through many injuries before. He's come back from, as you mentioned, a horrific back situation where he was concerned he might never be able to walk again. Mm-hmm. So if anyone has the tenacity and the mental toughness to go through another grueling rehab, it is certainly Tiger Woods. But I was talking to Bob Harris today, and I was like, you know, we have talked about this next wave of golfers, about the Brooks Koepkas and the Bryson DeChambeaus and the Dustin Johnsons. And of course, they're stars in their own right. But in any tournament that they're playing in, even if Tiger isn't there, he's a talking point. He's a storyline. It's, well, Tiger's rehabbing from this injury, or what's Tiger doing? Okay, he's 50th in the world. He's still such a big presence in the golf world, even when he's not participating in a tournament. And I just wonder what golf looks like if Tiger isn't a factor in any way, shape, or form. Yes, I still think people that love golf will pay attention to golf. Yes, I still think that it has enough, you know, interest in it with a lot of these young guys that are in it to keep people, but nothing that will ever come close to Tiger Woods.
No, I mean, and to go back to your point on his injuries, I mean, this is a guy who won a major, I think it was the US Open, on a torn ACL, beat Rocco Mediate in a playoff. I think that was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. You know, he's hobbling on the court, on the course, and you just couldn't even imagine, like, the mental fortitude that he has always been elite. Like, I don't know if that was the stuff that was instilled at a young age with his dad or whatever, but he has just this mental intimidation over every other player on the court. Like when it was Tiger versus the field, half of that was the mental battle. It wasn't even going out there and making and hitting good shots. It was like, can I beat Tiger? And the answer is no, because he is just like this figure in the red polo on a Sunday. That was scary as fuck. Like even, you know, I couldn't even, we're talking most intimidating athletes of all time. I mean, you think of like big brawny guys in football, right? Guys that are tough. But there's the mental, the mental toughness. But Michael had the mental toughness. But the one thing I'll say about Tiger is that in an individual sport, to be that dominant and that terrifying to your opponents for that long, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like that. I mean, you could talk about, again, I kind of throw the team sports guys out of it because Jordan is mentally intimidating, but he still needed Scotty. He still needed Dennis. You know, he still needed Phil Jackson. Not saying that, you know, Jordan wasn't great, but Tiger, it was just Tiger in his own mind, right? It was Tiger versus everybody else on the field. And that's why, you know, when you throw Serena into the mix of the GOAT athletes of all time,
Serena, Federer,
sort of lean towards the individual people, because it's so much harder, because you cannot rely on anyone else ever. It's all on you. And Tiger did it for so long at such a high level. You know, Usain Bolt comes to mind, Michael Phelps, but again, Tiger did it for longer. He did it for a decade plus. And for a decade, it was Tiger of the field, period. And he would win majors by double-digit strokes. I mean, it was insane. And you're right. As like a little kid growing up in that environment, he's the reason that I started playing golf, and he's the reason that I still love golf today. And it's not the same without him, and it won't be the same without him. You know, I always think about this too, Michelle, and I'll close out on this. I think a lot of people, when you grow up, like whatever era you grow up in, you think that your era is the best, right? Whenever you're from age like 10 to 18 or so, everyone's like, oh, the NBA was the best during my youth, or the baseball or football or whatever. I truly feel blessed to have grown up in the era that we grew up in, because we got to see the middle and end of Michael Jordan. We got to see all of Tiger Woods, and really the beginning and probably the end of LeBron as well.
As you mentioned, Serena
is
Tom Brady.
I'm sure Brady. There are guys in the 70s that'll tell me about, you know, whatever, who this guy, that guy, or this girl. I feel #blessed to have grown up in this era of athletics and sports, because it feels like we hit the jackpot. That's all I could say.
Yeah, we did, big time. I'll throw one more thing in there. We were talking about this today. There's a lot of parallels for me with Tiger Woods and all of the things that we've discussed for the past few weeks about Britney Spears. And I think that watching the Tiger documentary, I had a lot of the same icky feelings about it as I felt when I watched the Britney Spears documentary. And to think that this was a person that was very good at playing golf. He was incredible at his craft, incredible at his career. And that somehow we took his personal life and we made that something that he needed to explain to us, that we had this voyeuristic and almost entitled attitude to dig into all the deepest, darkest corners of his personal life and put them on display and hunt him down, for lack of a better term, and expose him, and then ask him to be held accountable for that was really wrong. And again, we didn't know it at the time that what we were doing at the time was so detrimental to him on a personal standpoint, But I just think about everything that golf has given him: fame, money, greatness, hardware, the list goes on. Mm-hmm. But golf has taken a lot from him too, from a physical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from a mental standpoint. We watched the dissolution of his family play out in real time. And I just wonder if after all of this, if he will even have it in him to try to come back, even if physically it's something that he can do. I wonder if he's just like, you know what? It was an incredible time. Enough is enough. Because I look at these golfers now, and even Dustin Johnson, who's a star and who's married to Paulina Gretzky, or engaged to Paulina Gretzky, who's a star in her own right, a very popular figure in her own right. They're not hunted down and they're not examined in the manner in which Tiger Woods was. I mean, he couldn't go anywhere without people seeing him or following him. I mean, what was it, the National Enquirer that was like stalking him, having affairs and stuff? I think that these guys now are provided a little sense of privacy. And I don't know if any of them would want to ever trade places with Tiger. Like, you think of everything that Tiger Woods is and everything that he represents and everything he accomplished, but that comes with a very, very heavy price.
We're going to do Would You Rathers in a little bit, which is one of our favorite games here on the show. And one of the ones I was thinking about different options to throw at you that would be good. And one of the ones I kind of came back to was like, would you rather be someone who is super famous, but like never has a minute alone, never, your life, everything you do is made public, or would you rather just be an average Joe? And I think it depends on
all day.
It depends on who you are as a person, but you can't have yes, you get all these great things. You get to go on vacation all the time. You go to different countries and you have unlimited money to basically live whatever life you want to live, but everybody always knows about everything you're doing. You never have any privacy. You can't just go to like the gas station and pick up, I don't know, a pack of gum without a bunch of people wanting to take your picture or have your autograph or all this stuff. And I think for a day or two or a week or even a year, I don't know, maybe that'd be cool for some people.
Yeah.
But that's your entire life.
No.
I don't know if I would want that. And I think there's a level of fame that you get to where I think it just becomes a burden on your life. And I don't know anything about Tiger. And I think you're right, there are parallels to Britney, but I know me as a person, I don't think I couldn't live that life. I really couldn't, no matter how great or how many accolades I got, or like you said, I having things that I could hang my hat on. At some point, I would just want to be left alone, leave me alone. And he's never left alone.
No, and we saw a little bit of that in The Last Dance with Michael Jordan when he would leave the hotel and people were waiting for him and would swarm him. But I think there's a whole other layer of mental toughness that comes with a Tiger Woods that grows up in the cell phone and in the social media era. Like Michael Jordan didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. And how would, for someone who cares about what people say about him and who was in tune to things like that, how would social media have affected him? Who knows, right? So anyway, I'm glad that Tiger is going to be okay. And I hope that he has a speedy recovery. But speaking of Michael Jordan, speaking of LeBron, speaking of the NBA, it's time for some hoops with Ceroots,
Let's do it.
It's the NBA season is obviously in full swing, has been for a while. And we've only done one segment of hoops with Ceroots. So it's time for a little hoops action with Steve.
If you have a league pass and don't talk about it, are you really an NBA fan? Let's get some takes off our chest. It's time for Talking Hoops with Ceroots.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap here on Hoops with Ceroots. This is the second edition, I believe, right? Second. Number 2 overall edition. I think I talked about the Nets the first time. This time, I was watching Celtics Mavs last night, Luka versus Tatum and Brown. Like, it was a great game. Mavs ended up winning 110-107. I'll get to that in a second. But I need there needs to be a little backstory here. About a year and a half ago, I made a list of NBA players that I would start a franchise with on the NBA show that I used to host on radio.com. I ultimately went with Giannis, and but I very nearly put Luka Doncic at 1. I wanted to, but I was like, it's like it was the beginning of his second year. I'm like, am I being a little bit too reactionary? I know I love this dude. Giannis is coming off an MVP. He went on to win the MVP last year as well. Mm-hmm. Is it ridiculous for me to put Luka Doncic over Giannis as the guy that I would start a franchise with tomorrow in the NBA? I even went on Russillo's podcast and I talked about it as well. And I was like, I'm leaning Doncic. I think I'm leaning Doncic because the guy just does things. He's a closer at the end of games. He does things that Giannis doesn't necessarily do, even though Giannis is this impressive physical freak and, has obviously, again, 2-time MVP. And I got some crap for that. I got some crap for basically saying, oh, you're a prisoner of the moment guy. Luka's great, but you're not going to put him in that category yet of, guys that could potentially be the best player in the league. I thought he was there. And I remember it was the beginning of the second year of his second year in the league. And to look at where he finished 4th in the MVP last year and his continued ridiculousness this season. Last night, Mavs, they had an 11-point lead. They lost that late in the fourth quarter against the Celtics. But then Luka did what he does. He hits 2 deep contested threes to give the Mavs a 110-107 win. I mean, he hits 2 step-back threes. His step-back game is so stupid. He's not even a great three-point shooter, but he's a great clutch three-point shooter. And when the game is on the line and he's stepping back over somebody who's probably taller than him and definitely more athletic than him, because I wouldn't say he's the most athletic guy in the league. He's got that killer instinct, man. I don't know, Giannis, I don't know if Giannis is necessarily there yet. I don't know if Zion is necessarily there yet. I mean, he is, in basketball intelligence-wise, up there with the best in the game. The Chris Pauls, the LeBrons, the Kawhis. He's that at age 21, Michelle. It's absolutely insane. So I think his playmaking is good, as good as anybody in the league. And at the end of the day, he's got onions. He's got onions too. And this all coming from a guy who has more of a dad bod look than an Adonis look. Giannis, you would sculpt from stone. The guy looks like the perfect image of man. And here's Luka, who's a little bit doughy, if we're being honest. So it's kind of cool to see this guy dominate the league and have guys at his hip because he just knows the angles of every play. The guy is so impressive. I can't get enough of him. So I'm going to take a victory lap here. I'm going to say, I think I am right. I think Luka is the guy that you take if you're starting a franchise for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 10 years. I would take him over Giannis. I would take him over Zion. Anybody you want. He is that dude, Michelle.
You know what, Steve? This is a victory for squishy guys everywhere.
Yes, this is the victory for honestly, he's your type, right? He's Euro. He's a little doughy. He's tall.
Attractive. He's not attractive, but
he's not attractive, but he's
got a little meat on his bones. Got some meat on his bones.
Yeah.
We like that.
Yeah. Again, I think he's an athletic dad bod type, and that's cool. I like seeing guys like that in the NBA because it's like Steph Curry. Steph's not 6'5" and jacked. He's 6'1", kind of scrawny, but he was the best player in the NBA at one point. I like when guys like that succeed, and to me, I just can't get enough of watching Luka.
Well, congratulations to you on calling this for I don't know, what is this, a year now that you have said this?
It was I think I said this last October. So
last October.
I'm sorry, October of 2019.
And don't you feel like you should have just gone with your gut? Now, I mean, Giannis is not a bad choice.
No,
obviously.
And this isn't an anti-Giannis thing. You're right.
No, not at all. But I think probably looking back, if you really did want to go with Luka and now you're watching him develop into the player that he's becoming, you're like, damn it. I should have gone.
And listen, Russillo is way more of a basketball expert than I ever am and probably ever and definitely ever will be. He watches more games than any person I know. But even he gave me crap. He's like, dude, you have him at 2. I wouldn't even put him at 2.
Wow. Where did he put him? Do you remember?
Top, still really high, but not 2. And I was like, I don't know, man. I just see something in this guy. Like ball in his hands at the end of game, there's not many guys in the league, even 2 years ago, that I would have wanted over Luka. And now it's like maybe 2 guys like LeBron, maybe Kawhi. Who else? I think he's there. So I love Luka. He's my favorite player in the league. He's my favorite guy to watch. He's definitely on the League Pass Steve alert almost every single night. And that was an awesome game last night against the Celtics. By the way, sneaky, I'm not going to do a rant on this, but Celtics not looking good. This is not a good look for them. They've got, Tatum and Brown are fine, but Kemba looks like a disaster. They don't have a big, I don't know. The Celtics are trending downward for me.
I don't like to hear that. As a Jason Tatum girl, I don't like to hear that.
He's great. This is nothing against Tatum. It's just, I don't think the team around him is that good.
I know, but I want him to succeed.
The team around Luke is not that great either, though.
Team. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, okay. That was a great Hoops with Ceroots, Steve. Thank you for that. Thank you for that Luka analysis. But now let's balance it out. Okay. I've got some things to say about Bravo.
Pour some wine and turn up the shade. It's time for the Bravo Minute with Smallmon.
Steve, last week when we did our Valentine's Day episode, our love episode, and we did our power rankings for celebrity couples, I threw in Candy and Todd Tucker into the mix. Candy Burris, my girl from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You know I love the Real Housewives of Atlanta. That is the city from this franchise that got me to fall in love with the Housewives. I was an early Atlanta girl. All the way back to the season 1, Nene Kim Shabray, who gon' check me, boo. You a low down monkey with a wig on. Is Dwight planning the party? Is Deshaun Snow going to the Diamond Gala days? Okay, so I am an OG. And let me tell you, Steve, the episode that aired this past week at Cynthia's bachelorette party in South Carolina, she calls herself 50 Cent, CYNT.
Okay, there's already a 50 Cent, but okay, sure.
Yes. This may be one of the most outrageous and scandalous things I've ever seen happen on reality television. So these women, they go to South Carolina for a girls' weekend. I think there's like 7 or 8 of them. And Candy, my girl who I told you about, one of the storylines many seasons ago was that Candy was falsely accused of having a sex dungeon in her basement.
Get it right.
Get it right. There was no dungeon.
Honestly, I wish she did have a sex dungeon. That'd be why would you deny that? That's cool as shit.
Well, because it went with some negative connotations, about some things that they had done. We don't need to get into that. That's irrelevant. But what she did, Steven, which is part of the reason I put Candy and Todd on the power rankings list, is they turned that into a money-making machine. And Candy and Todd had a production that went around, it toured the country, called The Dungeon. And Candy's a singer, so it had music. It had obviously like big time sexual overtures, whatever. So they get down there and they surprise Cynthia with a dungeon themed bachelorette party, including, Steve, a stripper wearing fake Chanel named Bolo. And Bolo is a large man in every...
Well, let your imagination take it from there.
I don't even know how to say this effectively.
In every way, yeah. I mean, that's do your thing.
Let's just say, Steve, that they had to blur out certain things on the television, and like half the screen was blurred out.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Wow.
A large
good for him.
That was blurred.
So he was well endowed. Good for him.
He's well endowed. Thank you. That's the way to say it.
Okay.
And very ripped, and man can Bolo move.
I feel like Bolo, what is Bolo in reference to? Like, because I think of Bolo Ty, but I also think of a guy named Bolo. That guy is probably not someone you would fuck with. No pun intended.
Hold on. I'm going to his Instagram page, Bolo the Entertainer, 213,000 followers.
For him.
It just says Bolo the Entertainer, actor, model, entertainer, internationally recognized. Internationally recognized.
Oh, I got his picture up here. Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what I thought he would look like.
You can see what Bolo looks like.
Use your imagination.
So
low-rise jean.
Big time low rise. Some constraints that he likes to work in the outfit. So anyway, Bolo is in a glass box. He emerges. He gives the girls a dance. They're all dressed in very sexual dungeon attire. They're throwing the dollars. And then the girls get a little tipsy and they say, you know what? Cameras are going off. The cameras are getting shut down because we're about to have a real good time. So the production crew leaves and they think that they've hidden all of the cameras inside, and some are still there. Some of the outside cameras are tilted in and can see them. So there's some footage of 2 of the women straddling each other, making out. There's footage of one of the women who is married, shall we say, grinding with Bolo. He's not concerned, Steve, about where to put his hands. He is not concerned. Bolo knows what he's doing with his hands.
He's a professional. He knows what to do.
Yeah, this is no 7th grade dance.
This isn't Bolo's first rodeo.
Let me tell you, Steve, there's no room for the Lord when Bolo's involved. No room for the Lord. But then where it gets really saucy is everybody goes to bed around 3, 4, 5 a.m. and some of the women stay up with Bolo. He's caught on camera leaving at 7 a.m. And one of the women comes down in the morning and it's like, hey, I woke up to get something from the kitchen and I heard Bolo and 2 female voices coming from the spare bedroom, and they were definitely hooking up. And so now it is kind of a reality TV show game of Clue, where since the cameras were not on there, who were the 2 women that hooked up with Bolo? So let me just tell you, if you're not into the Real Housewives of Atlanta, shame on you, but there hasn't been that many episodes. You need to watch it and get in on this because this is great stuff. My group text, Steve, has been popping for the past few days about this episode.
So I find this, see, this is where I'm like sketchy. I'm skeptical of what happened. There just happened to be a couple of cameras that were looking and they didn't have the rest of the footage and it only caught like maybe two people making out. I don't know.
One camera, and you can't really see who it is. You can see they have like a pixelated still image where based on the hairstyles, you can make out two of the women, who they are, but everybody else you can't. And
make out, nice, good verbiage.
Thank you. But it's just so
what happens now?
Entertaining.
Do they get in trouble? Is it like, I don't know. Are they trying to keep it a secret? Like if this gets out, what happens? Are they in any trouble? What's going on?
Well,
how old are they too?
They're in their like somewhere in their late 30s, somewhere in their mid 40s. 50 Cent, I think, is 51 now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they're like all over the board age wise. But some of the women, Steve, that are potentially being implicated are married. One is engaged. One is not estranged, but currently not with her baby daddy, Dennis, the hot dog king. But they have a child together. So let's just say that the women are really upset because they thought the cameras were off, and the woman, Kenya, who brought it to light, they're like, hey, we thought that this was off camera. We thought that this was off bounds. How are you bringing this up? Why are you trying to snitch?
They're mad at the producers. Like that's
they're mad at one of the women, Kenya, for even bringing up that she heard the sex noises.
Okay. Because here's what I think. I think this is all a ploy to get people talking about the show. And clearly it worked, because I think like you're going to tell me these women don't have like autonomy over what gets used and what doesn't get used.
They have
they really have none. So they can
no control. Or else, trust me, Steve, there are things that they would definitely take out.
Okay. Like, see, I'm not in the scene. I don't really know, but I just feel like this is a ploy, and it's a great tactic to get people to talking about the show, because, or maybe Bolo's just a home wrecker. I don't know. Maybe that's what the deal is too. Oh, he's
Bolo
a good-looking dude.
was paid to do a job, Steve. Okay, he was paid to do a job.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. That's all that's what you got to say.
But let me tell you, I was like, woo, is this spicy? That was like, people were talking about Bridgerton. I'm like, well, the Real Housewives of Atlanta is on deck.
Well, Bridgerton. I mean, have you seen Bridgerton?
I have not, but I've been told that I should.
By who? Maddie, my wife?
Yes, Maddie.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I wasn't going to out her, okay? I'm no snitch.
I didn't watch the show, but I was like around when it was on. I would walk in and it was so weird. That show was, I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. It was X-rated for sure. Although, they don't think they actually show anything. But it just, the whole show was like these two, I don't know, the Duchess and the Duke. I don't even know if that's who they were, but them just getting after it like multiple times a day. And it was super weird. And I thought the show was terrible. I'd be much more likely to watch the Real Housewives of Atlanta than I was Bridgerton.
You opening the door to potentially watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta, because that I'm going to kick it right open.
If you're giving me a would you rather, as we're going to do in a second, I would rather watch that Real Housewives of Atlanta for sure. But it doesn't mean I want to do either one.
I have been trying to get us to watch a show like the Shelleys, us as a collective, for a long time. There was talk of Friday Night Lights. We don't know how we're necessarily going to do this, because we don't want to make podcasts about a show that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But my pick is The Sopranos.
Plus, it's already kind of a thing, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're rewatchable.
Yeah.
But I would love for us to rewatch The Sopranos and do kind of like you do Hoops with Ceroots. We could do like a Sopranos minute.
I've never seen it, so I think we should do that.
Travesty.
As an Italian man, I mean, I'm not happy to admit that. It's probably like a black mark on my resume here.
It is
of film and cinema and all that stuff. But I've never seen it, so I would be down to watch it. Yeah, maybe we just do like 3 episodes at a time, and we don't have to recap the episode, but we just one takeaway from a couple episodes, and we'll do that every week. Because I've always wanted to watch the show. It's the same thing with The Wire. And here we go again. People are probably going to judge me, and they should. But I've actually never seen The Wire.
What have you been doing your whole life? How have you not watched The Sopranos and The Wire?
So I tried watching The Wire probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really get over that it wasn't in widescreen. I know this is so like annoying millennial of me, but it was kind of annoying. And then everyone told me is it season 2 sucks? Which season sucks?
A lot of people didn't like the doc season, but I think if you go back and look, that season actually held a lot of importance, and it's way better than people give it credit for.
It's like a lot of things, like when we did our movies over, what was that, was it this summer, last summer, when we rewatched some movies, the ones that we hadn't seen.
Quarantine.
It's mostly because I feel like I just missed the boat. And I feel like I missed the boat on both The Wire and Sopranos. So like, I don't know, I'm just not going to try to go back in time and do it. But I'm not against the Sopranos. I know people do say it holds up. So maybe we will do that, because I probably should, as a I'm 75% Italian. I probably should have seen that show.
Okay, so right here on February 24th, will you commit to watching The Sopranos?
Sure.
So by next week, if we give the Shelleys homework for those who would like to watch along, because that's the thing, we want it to be a communal activity.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I'm going to do it by next week, you will have watched season 1, episodes 1, 2, 3.
We'll do 3 episodes. Is that reasonable? Are they an hour long?
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah, they're about an hour long.
Yeah. Why not?
Done. Okay. So Ceruti is going to rewatch The Sopranos.
I'm watching it, period. You're rewatching it.
Yeah. Ceruti's watching it, period.
Yeah, this is the first go through for your boy.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So if you want to watch it with us, because we will be doing 1 takeaway per week, start now. Your clock starts now.
Okay.
All right,
excited.
great.
Let's do it.
Steve, let's close this out with a little rapid fire would you rather. It's been a while. We like to play games on this show. So I have a few for you. Can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Steve, would you rather never get tired or never have to go to the bathroom?
So you never sleep. You
never.
just don't.
But you don't get tired. You don't need it.
24 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
7 days a week, 365 days a year. I think I would rather. Oh man. There's like going to the bathroom isn't that much of an inconvenience, is it? Like, so so I don't know. It's like, if I didn't have to go, I'd be like, whatever, it's fine. I think I would rather never get tired, because think about what the amount of things you could accomplish. I could watch the entire Sopranos show in like a couple of days if I never got tired. Maddie would just go to sleep and I'd have like 8 hours to myself every day. That'd be awesome. I'd probably be the best FIFA player in the world. I'd get a ton of work done. I'd probably be like an investor. I'd like learn about the stock market. Think about the amount of things you would do with the time that you didn't spend sleeping, which if you count like the amount of time that you're in your bed, it's at least 8 hours a night, right? That you're just getting back. So I actually think that could be pretty productive. Now, the only thing is you could also be very bored. You know, if you run out of things to do and lonely. But you know me, I like alone time, and my wife knows this too. I like my alone time. Like I just need that for my own personal sanity. So I would rather be never tired than never have. I'll go to the bathroom during the 8 hours that I have to myself. How's that?
No, you can't. You won't have to go. Or yeah, I guess during your 8 hours you would.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm with you just because I think time is the most important currency that we have. And if I could get more of it, why wouldn't you? But I do think that you wouldn't realize the little nuances about going to bed and things like that you miss, right? I mean, what's the point of having a bed if you never sleep? My bed is my favorite place in my house. It's like a big time cloud. I love it. I love waking up on a Saturday morning after you slept in and the sun is kind of peeking through and you can just like curl up and lay there for a second. Think about all the little intricacies involved with sleep that you would miss.
Okay, but I could still lay in a bed. I could still lay on the couch. I could still, have covers on me. I'm just not sleeping, right? Would I really miss the sleeping aspect of that? Or is it just the actual act of laying down and being comfortable? I could still be comfortable in a bed. I'm just not sleeping.
Yeah. I think I'd pick never having to go to the bathroom. And I say that as someone that drinks a lot of water and who does a radio show and who usually has 3 minutes and a commercial break. And I have
so
to
you're
sprint down the hall.
Yeah. Your efficiency rating is
through the roof. I've got like, a minute 35. Okay. Can we get this done? But I just think having to go to the bathroom, how much time would that save you? I mean, it doesn't take a lot,
right?
Right.
I mean, unless there's a problem, and then maybe like if you have a problem, then maybe you pick the bathroom one. But I have, my system's clean, if you know what I mean. I think I'm okay. It's not like I'm spending hours a day in the bathroom. It's a minor inconvenience. Whereas I can get 8 hours a day back to do a bunch of shit that I didn't already have that I want to do.
You'd be speaking Italian, you'd be a published author, you'd be in the best shape of your life. Like, think about all the things that you would do.
Well, yeah, I would think I would work out more. But here's the thing, and this will be my last thought on this because I know we got a bunch more. But the only question is, am I as ambitious or do I get lazy?
Great question.
If I'm lazy, then it's actually probably going to be pretty boring.
Right.
But you have to really be motivated and use those hours, as you said more eloquently than I did. Like, time is the most valuable resource. So that's probably why it's the answer, but you have to make sure you use those hours. Otherwise you're going to be bored as shit.
Big time.
All right. Let me do, I got 3 here too. Let me do my first one.
Okay.
Would you rather relive high school or college? All 4 years.
Ooh, that's so good. Okay. So I loved both. I had incredible experiences in high school and college. I think I gotta go with college though. To live with your friends and have the freedom that you do in college. And I, at least still in college, did not have a lot of responsibility. I had a job and I had my grades to maintain, but
it's not that hard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
not like,
easy.
It's not a career you're having to uphold. You're not paying bills.
I still had plenty of time to hang out and do what I wanted to do. And when I think about that time in my life, like high school was amazing. I had great friends. I loved high school. You have your mom's cooking still in high school, which is awesome, especially in those years that you could drive. You feel very cool. But I think where you are as a person during your college years is such an interesting and fun time. You're becoming an adult, and you just feel so. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's an enlightening period. You discover who you are.
Yourself. You're learning about the world in a different way. You are, high school is great because you're in a cocoon, but college is great because you burst out of the cocoon and you start meeting people with different life experiences, and you are starting to really,
it's fake real life, it's not actually real, but you kind of learn how to be an independent adult in some ways, even though it's like bowling with the bumpers on the side. Like, you're bowling, but you're like, if you make a mistake, it's really not that big of a deal. Whereas, once you get to the real world, it's like, no, sink or swim, dude, like figure it out. I don't know if it's a really, really hard, this is such a hard, because I'm with you. I mean, not to brag over it, but okay, both my high school and college experience were fun. They were very different. I definitely think I liked what I was in college and what I became and what I learned and the person that I sort of evolved into in college, and then how that affected me post-college. In high school, I was much more of like a cocky kid. Like, I was like the kid talking shit to Cam Newton. Did you see that video over the week or whatever? That would like be me. I was that kid. So, I just had like a lot of confidence in high school, and it was what it was. What are the pros and cons though? I was trying to think about this. Like, what are the pros? What is better about high school than college? Because I was thinking, it's all right. You get all your meals made for you. I guess you technically do at the dining hall too in college, but your mom cooks for you.
You gotta cook.
Yeah, but you're like, all right. So when you're in high school, your mom plays. Your mom cooks for you. High school sports were fun. Like, I'm not that guy that's like trying to relive the glory days, but it was fun to play high school football and whatever, golf.
Be a part of a team
and pick up hoops. Like, it was different in college because I wasn't good enough to play a sport, so it was like mostly just like rec league stuff, which is fun too, but it's not the same. I don't know, but I kind of lean, and again, you don't have to live them exactly the same way that you lived high school and college as you did in the past. You could live them as you want to. You just get to relive the 4 years again, basically. Oh, it's really, really hard. I mean, but I think you laid it out really well. The freedom that you have in college, and then how you can become a better version of yourself. At least there's the opportunity for you to become a better version of yourself is great. Now, my diet in college was disgusting. I probably drank like 2 vanilla Cokes a day. Cheesy eggs every morning, burgers it was the fact that I could eat that way and not have it affect like my physical stature of being, and like working out wasn't really a big deal for me back then. That's pretty awesome. So I think it's college, but there are parts of high school that I still do miss. Like, again, the sports stuff is really cool, but at high school, you have to go to school every single day. You have to go to class from like basically 7 a.m. to 2 in the afternoon and then play sports. That's a long ass day. I look back at that and I go, how the hell do we survive that? In college, you kind of just like pick and choose what you want to do. You can take a nap at 2 p.m. if you don't have a class. So it's close, awesome. But I'll go college.
I think, Steve, if you did a body composition on me in college, my blood type would have been alcohol, and like 82% of my body would have been pizza and lean cuisines.
Pizza and lean cuisine. Yes, that was I used to eat Hungry Man. Shout out to Mikey C. My eating habits in college were pathetic. I mean, I would get steak that I would just like make once a week. Think about it. I eat steak once a week.
You going to the store to buy a steak is impressive. I would go to Walgreens and buy a lean cuisine and microwave it. And be like,
I would buy Hot Pockets. I ate Hot Pockets a lot, which was the
pepperoni. I was learning about the spring break bod, Steve. Lean cuisine. Okay.
Yeah. The pepperoni ones are banging. Don't sleep on Hot Pockets, but definitely not in the arsenal today. But so yes, to go back into, I think it's slightly college over high school.
One quick thing about Hot Pockets, amazing, but you do run the risk when you eat a Hot Pocket that 1, it's too hot and it's going to burn your mouth, or 2, that you take a massive bite in it and a piece of it's still cold and then you want to throw up.
Can I tell, this is like a sort of a sidetrack story, but it's worth telling, kind of involving that. One time I went to McDonald's and their chicken McNuggets are phenomenal. I love them. This is an anti-chicken McNugget thing, but I got one that wasn't fully cooked and I bit into it and it was like the liquid chicken. And I could not eat a chicken nugget for 2 years. No lie, 2 years. Didn't do it.
Why did you have to tell that story?
I just feel like I need to share my pain with everyone. I bit into it and it was liquid chicken. It was not fully cooked. It was one of the most disgusting things. I can still feel the texture in my mouth right now.
I can feel it rising in my throat.
I did not eat McDonald's for 2 whole years.
I don't think I've eaten McDonald's in like 10, 15 years.
Well, we could all strive to be Michelle.
No, that's not even me. I just, that if I'm going to go get fast food, which I rarely do or something, it's not going to be my pick. It's just not. I'd rather get Chick-fil-A or Chipotle, you know?
Yep, I agree. But every once in a while, you got to throw a Big Mac and a chicken nugget in there. I trust me. Maybe like once a year. That's it. But I'm with you. Chick-fil-A, way supreme.
Okay, next one for me. Steve, would you rather be the president of the United States for one day, or be a billionaire for one day?
All right, let me ask you this. If I'm a billionaire for a day, does all the things that I do and buy, I get to keep? Or can I only experience that for one day? So if I buy 10 boats, I have those 10 boats.
Yeah. But then you still have to make the payments on it when the pumpkin or the carriage turns into the pumpkin.
Oh no, but I'm buying straight cash. That's straight cash.
Yeah, if you're straight cash, homie, fine. But then you've got 10 boats.
Okay, because if it was like live like a billionaire for a day, then no, I don't. Who cares? Like, I don't know. What am I going to go to Bora Bora for one day? I don't know. Whatever.
That sounds pretty sick. I'd take it.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's one day where I could be the president for a day, and like my name goes down. The only reason I kind of lean president is because your name would go down in history as a president of the United States. Is for 5 of them, right? 45, 46. I should know this as a guy.
Now 46.
46. Yeah. 46. Shout out to Joe Biden.
Shout out Joe.
That's really cool. But it's, again, you don't have any power. You're not gonna be able to do anything. I mean, it's not like I'm going to be able to enact legislation during my one day as president. It's basically just a figurehead title. I remember the time Ceruti was president for a day. Like that's what my legacy would be.
Right.
But I think I have to pick billionaire because I would just buy I would buy cars, I would buy boats, I would buy houses, I would buy prepaid vacations, all in that one day that I could live basically for the rest of my life on.
So I understand your thinking to go billionaire for a day, but you better believe that having me be the first female president of the United States, even if it's for one day, I'm taking it. I don't care about the boats. I don't care about anything. To have your name in the history books as one of the presidents of the United States of America, even if it's for one day. And you know what I would just do all day? I would just do a ton of photo ops. It
wouldn't be a busy day. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a busy day. I might try to sign something that I've always wanted to do. I might try to, kick some funding to St. Louis or something. I might, for one day, try to do something that I've always wanted to do as the president, but really would just be me looking very regal, getting my portrait done.
It's the ultimate do it for the story thing. Cause you're not going to really get anything out of it. It's just, I was president for one day. That's pretty sick. You remember Michelle? Yeah, she was president for one day. But you're right. I think you being the first, although come on, while it would be cool, like you being the first female president, but for one day, like, come on, we get like four
the first is the first, Steve.
I know, but it feels cheap, even though it is correct. But I understand your thinking.
Forever.
It's a legacy thing versus a wealth thing, basically. And it's tough.
And think about this. If I'm the first female president of the United States, even if it's for a day, I'm setting myself up financially in the future. Will I be a billionaire? Probably not. Speaking engagements, a book, My 24 Hours in the White House.
Yeah. Maybe a show. Yeah. Spinoff.
Maybe a spinoff. Yep. I don't know. Maybe then I run for office after that. Yep. The fact that I was the president for one day. You get other monetary benefits from being the president for a day, and you missed your history. I'm surprised.
I know. But here's the thing: I would probably empty that dude. If I had $1 billion, I was a billionaire, I would empty that bank account in one day. I'd spend every cent of it, and that's what I would do. And then I would go off in the middle of nowhere and just live the rest of my life in happiness, and I wouldn't worry about anybody else. But it's a tough call. All right, next one here because I know we're running out of time. Would you rather marry the most attractive person you've ever met or the best cook you've ever met?
Looks are fleeting, Steve. Baked ziti is forever.
Okay, but here's where you're wrong. Is that you can get good baked ziti anywhere. Why does your significant other have to make it?
You've been to restaurants. I've been with people who are good cooks and people who are not so great cooks. And being married to a chef is an ultimate goal. You can have someone, think about that you could say, hey, you know what I'm craving? And they could say, coming right up. That's coming right up. And it's no sweat off my back. And it's going to be delicious. There's no trial and error.
I'm going to poke holes all in this argument because this is total bullshit.
Please go ahead.
You're telling me that, like, with all due respect, because he's older now, but you would marry Emerald Lagasse over some hot dude?
Oh, come on, dude. Well, I like Emerald, but yeah.
I'm not saying, here's the thing. It's like, what degree of badness is the other part of this? So if you marry the most attractive person you've ever met and they're a terrible cook, my argument would be, well, that doesn't mean I can't eat good food. We would just go out to eat more. He wouldn't cook, or he or she wouldn't cook more.
Right.
But if the best cook you've ever met, you're not attracted to, there's problems. That's problems. I'm sorry. So I'm going to say at the end of the day, you have to be attracted to the person that you're married. That's a baseline, absolute must in a successful relationship. The food thing, they're independent of each other. I could eat good food and also have someone who isn't a good cook. Whereas if the cook you met is not good looking and you're not attracted to them, you're probably not going to that relationship's not going to last.
Okay, I'm poking holes in your holes. What happens when the person that you're with, because they're hot, all of a sudden becomes not so hot? Because that's going to happen. Father Time is undefeated. When things start to droop or wrinkle or get a little bloated and puffy, and you're like, actually personality sucks, and you make bad macaroni and cheese all day.
Yeah, but what if the cook's personality sucks, Michelle? Like, what if this person's, he's a good cook, but he's a shitty dude and he's ugly?
Okay, hang on. Remember how we talked about some people being attracted to people because they have money and they have power? Yeah. The quickest way to my heart is through my stomach. So if you're not that good looking and sometimes you're an asshole, but you can whip up, pasta fazola and make me happy, it's going to go a long way.
Couldn't this guy just theoretically get takeout and get like toasted wraps from whatever the toasted wrap place is that are delicious? Couldn't he just get takeout and deliver those to you? And that's the same thing as making it. He knows that you love them. It's a nice gesture, and he happens to be attractive.
No, see, I don't know if I'll ever get married, but when I think about what I want in my marriage, or if I think about something that I would want my future to entail, I want to have a home where the kitchen is the heartbeat of the house. I want to throw down in the kitchen. I want to
gather.
I want to gather. Hashtag gather. No signs will say that, but I want to gather. And I want to be able to cook meals with the person that I love and nourish my family. Like, that's something that's important to me and that I love. So I find it very attractive. They might not physically be my type, but I find a man that can cook and that cares about food from an artistic standpoint, or from, more of a process standpoint, like actually cares about putting together a meal, very attractive.
It's easier to teach someone how to be a good cook than to get enough plastic surgery to make someone attractive. I'm sorry. Mic drop.
But what if I don't care about your face? Well, hey, Steve, let me tell you something. Looks aren't everything. Mic drop.
No, it's not everything. I'm not saying it is everything, but you can teach someone to be a good cook who's not a good cook. It's hard to just all of a sudden be attracted to someone that you weren't attracted to before that. That's all I'm saying. And I think if you're not attracted to this person, if he's a great cook, but you're not attracted to him, it's not going to work out. I'm sorry. It just isn't. So we'll have to agree to disagree. Maybe the Shelleys will have to break the tie in this one, because this is a good debate. I know what you're saying.
Anything that Nikki Lewis told us last week, that attractiveness does not matter.
It does, though. I mean, you have to be attracted to the person you're with. That's it. That's it. It doesn't matter. There has to be more than that too, but I think that is kind of a must-have in a relationship.
I mean, what are we talking about? He doesn't fit the height requirements. He's like, does he smell bad? I mean, there are varying degrees of things that you could overlook for a great salad, or, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
If they're a chef, they could cook you healthy meals that also taste delicious.
But what if he's an asshole?
Well, if he's an asshole, I don't care if he's hot either.
Okay, fair enough. Shelleys need to break the tie here, because I think we're both making good arguments, but I think I'm right.
All right, one more for you. Would you rather, Steve, have all traffic lights that you approach turn green, or never, ever, ever have to wait in line again? Never at the store. And once we go back into stadiums, if you're going to get the hottest cronut in town and you don't want to wait in the line around the block, you don't have to.
Easiest one so far. I would rather never wait in another line again. I actually don't mind the green light thing. I like being in the car. I like taking drives. That's actually when I listen to most of my podcasts. My podcast intake is taking a huge hit over this pandemic stuff, because I don't go anywhere anymore. Mm-hmm. So when I get in the car, I actually kind of enjoy it, because I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to catch up on all the podcasts I listen to at 2 times speed, which is how I listen, because I know that drives some people insane.
Noted.
Like my wife. But I don't mind being in the car. So if I'm stuck at a red light, I mean, I don't want to be stuck there all day in traffic, but I'd rather skip all the other lines in life of having to like go to the grocery store. There's all the things that you said. Any line ever, that's amazing. Versus just having to wait at a red light every once in a while. Give me skipping all the lines.
I agree. And I also think that you don't think about the potential danger of every light that you approach turning green. What if someone else is crossing the intersection and just because you turn, yeah, I mean, safety first. But I'm with you. And we also live in places though that don't have extreme traffic jams.
Yeah.
So I think, if you live in LA or Chicago, somewhere like that Miami that deals with bad traffic, that you might change your mind on this. But there are few things in life that I would stand in line for, that I actually care about. This is why I'm not going to Disney. All of these things.
Fast pass, no?
Yeah, I guess you could get a fast pass. You're right. That's a great point by you.
Think about it, you can ride Space Mountain as much as you want.
Yeah. Okay. Let me add that to the list. But I just don't want to wait in line ever. So I'm with you. I would take the occasional red light and the occasional traffic jam to never have to stand. Think about when you go to a stadium or a concert that you could just be like, excuse me, coming through, beers,
pretzel, nachos, get out of my way.
Bathroom at a
That's
stadium.
more for the girls and the guys, because the guys are usually pretty quick, but the girls' line is always insane.
There's nothing worse than being a female and being like, okay, we've got this much time in between periods. I'm gonna leave at the end of the second period so that I can beat the rush, and then you are still stuck in the line and you're watching the dudes just very breezily walk in and out. There's no line. They're just like, oh, hey, I'll go get the beers because I know you're not going to make it back to your seat. It's the worst. It's
guys being dudes. What's up? Okay, I think that's clearly the home run right answer there. Yeah. Last one for you here. This is, I don't know where you're going to go on this. Would you rather never be able to use Google again or never be able to use social media again?
Well, if there's no Google, can I ask Jeeves or can I go to Yahoo?
I think for the sake,
Jeeves still around?
Yes, I think for the sake of the question, I think I'll extend it beyond Google. You can't, search engines for you are not a thing. You cannot search things online.
Okay.
Period.
Well, I can live without social media. I actually think it's detrimental to society and to me as a whole anyway. Mm-hmm. So I would be completely fine disconnecting from all social media apps. I'm not going to lug around an Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay. I have no other way to access information if I do not have a search engine on my phone or on my computer. So I'm 100% going without social media as opposed to going without a search engine.
Yeah. Do you remember in, was it like elementary school, middle school, like when we would have to literally whip out the encyclopedia to look shit up?
And then write notes, Steve.
Yeah, I mean,
to write notes.
I almost feel like I blacked out during that period, but it actually did exist for us, which is wild. So,
oh my God.
I think you're right. The answer twofold. It's that, of course, I don't want to whip out a book and have an encyclopedia. I mean, it would be cool to have like a room full of encyclopedias to be like, oh, I'm so smart. Look at all my leather-bound books.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to read any of them to look up like a simple thing of like, how do I do this?
And think about how information has changed. Things that are in those books are
probably wrong.
Yep. So the information that you're painstakingly writing out right now has probably already been updated.
And the second part I'll say is you're right. I think not having social media, while it would be hard, especially for you and I, is like what we do with our jobs and, just kind of keeps you in the loop on things. But you're right. It does affect my mental health. It pisses me off a lot. Sometimes I'm like, why am I reading this? Like, I'm subjecting myself to this bullshit and it's nobody else's fault but my own. So in a weird way, I almost feel like I'd be healthier if I didn't have social media. So yeah, I think I could not live without Google. I think I could live without social media.
The world would miss your thirst trap, Steve.
Oh yeah. My pictures of my dogs. Here's a picture of Moose at dusk, which is probably my favorite picture.
Is that the caption, Moose at dusk?
Moose at dusk. It's a great picture. Yeah. That's an awesome picture.
I love that. Yep. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I need to look that up.
It's great. It's in our sunroom, like literally at dusk. The sky is like a really cool purpley blue, black, and like the contrast of the white in the room and the lights. We have like twinkly lights up. It's probably the best picture I've ever taken. No big deal. Moose at dusk.
Is simply Moose at dusk.
I know.
It's so good.
It's amazing. Maddie laughs about it like once a week.
Did you think about that caption and you're like, you know what? Nailed it. Moose at dusk.
I didn't even think it would be that funny, but it's the way it's aged. It gets funnier every day. It's just Moose at dusk. It's Moose at dusk.
Can we get Mumford at dusk?
Mumford, we probably, that'll be my next iteration of this. I'll call it art. It'll be, Mump at dusk. I like that.
It's called a series, Steve.
True. Sorry. Excuse me. You're the art person. I wouldn't know.
I love it. Okay, well, that was fun. Let's quickly get to a review. My bad. I didn't have it pulled up. I should have.
That's all right.
All right.
So what did we disagree on? We agreed on high school. Of mine, we agreed on college over high school. We agreed on social media over Google, but we disagreed on attractive versus cook. So let us know what you think. Break the tie there. And then on yours, I think we agreed. Well, did you pick bathroom or tired? I forget.
Tired.
Okay, so we
I
both
would never be tired.
We both picked tired. You picked president. I picked billionaire, and we both picked never having to stand in line. So I guess break the tie. There's only two that we actually disagreed on.
And you can do so on our website, smalltalkpod.com. There's going to be a new updated Shell Talk blog by John, but
John just texted me.
There's some blasphemy going on the Shell Talk blog about the Britney draft. So ignore those posts and head to this latest one about Would You Rather.
Love it.
Okay, Steve, here is a review. It says astrology reading October 20th, 5 stars. I just listened back to Michael, the astrologist, who read each of you, and he was not wrong. He was so right on the many things he said. Regarding Ceruti being a servant in his past life, I didn't see that as a negative. I saw that as being a servant to people in his community on a strength, emotional, and support level, not like preparing their meals. Not that that's a bad thing. Servant can mean many different things to many different people, which is a great point. You do serve people in that way, Steve. You're a great friend. You're, a great employee. You're always ready to lend a hand, and you care about the community aspect of things. You definitely serve.
Okay, but this is how they get you. They spin it in a way that it applies to you. It could be this general broad thing, and I looked at it as like, yeah, I wasn't like a waiter or a bartender during the medieval times, but the way that you could spin it in any way to make anything that these astrologists say or the mind readers say or the palm or whatever you want to make it, you can spin anything they say to make it apply to your life. And I think the people that want to believe it, that's what they do. And the people like me who are skeptical deny it. So it's a great observation. I wouldn't say that you're wrong. It's just not the way that I look at it.
I don't know. I think that...
Of course you think it's right. This is what you want. This is what you like doing. You like hearing this. You believe in this stuff, or you want to believe in this stuff. And me, I'm like the old curmudgeon over here who's like, that's bullshit. Get out of here. Reading the stars. I mean, I had a fun doing it. It's not like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed hearing what he had to say. I don't deny that he puts a lot of work into his craft. I just don't know if I don't know if I'm actually going to take it that seriously.
Listen, he said I'm going to hit the lottery, so we're still playing.
If that happens, then I am fully willing to go back on every word I've said.
You are going to be a full convert.
I will start practicing astrology if you hit the lottery.
Okay, well then I need to continue to buy the numbers.
Keep buying tickets.
When the Mega Millions and the Powerball was through the roof, I was convinced I was going to win. I kept saying to my dad,
everybody is.
I'd call, but I had an astrologist tell me that. I said to my dad, he's like, what are you doing? I go, I'm going to buy Mega Millions tickets. He's like, you? I go, hey, I'm winning. I was told it's in the stars.
There was a prophecy. Yeah. You're the princess who was promised.
Yeah. I would check the numbers and I'd be like, are you serious? Like, what the hell?
This can't be right. He told. Right. I was told that I was going to be a winner.
I was told it was me. Anyway, all right. Well, if you haven't already, please head to Apple Podcasts, search for Small Talk, subscribe to it, rate it preferably 5 stars, and leave a review. We will read it at the end of the podcast. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Steve and I will be back in action next week. But until then, I'm going to be figuring out who got naughty in the dungeon.
Mom, more Hot Pockets.
Thanks for listening to Small Talk. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or the Podcast One app.